to do is you're going to set up your page, your sketchbook page that looks like this. Today we're going to practice 8 different painting techniques. So you're going to draw 3 lines that go from left to right and 1 line down the middle that kind of separates it. We're going to do flat wash, dry brush, blending 2 colors, X stroke, which is my favorite actually, scumbling, stippling, glazing, and drip. So the first thing we're going to do is flat wash. This is the one you've probably been doing in class already, but you didn't even know. It's basically where you try to apply the paint to your paper or canvas, and you want them to look all completely nice and even. So for this one, what I'm going to do is you're going to take your color, and I try to go in one direction first. So for this one, I'm going from left to right, but then I would also try to go up and down. The biggest thing with flat wash is that you want to try to make it look as even as possible. And you have to kind of work fast because it does dry. So that's flat wash. The next one's dry brush. So for dry brush, you have paint on your brush. You literally dry it off. And what you're going to do is you're just gonna like lightly touch it onto the page. This one looks really good for hair, for mountains, for grass, anything with kind of that grainy texture. It looks fantastic. The key is not to have a lot of paint on your brush when you do it. So that's our dry brush. Blending 2 colors. This one's probably the most common, and I will tell you it will be easier once you do get a canvas, so it's a little harder on paper, but I'll let you know how it goes. First thing you're going to do is you're going to take a clean brush and you're going to apply the paint to one side, kind of thicker than you're used to. And then what's going to happen is you are going to grab the other color from the other side and kind of apply that here. And then with a clean dry brush, and this is the really important part, you're gonna kind of blend back and forth to kind of get that third color. And then if you need to go back in and add more yellow, you can, but the trick is you need enough paint so that it can move. If you don't have enough paint, it's not gonna move for you. You can only do one small area at a time. So you wouldn't wanna like do this to your whole area, because what could happen is it's going to eventually dry, which we don't want. So what we're gonna do is just add some more over here to kind of make sure that this stays yellow. And then we have our blending 2 colors, which actually does make kind of a third color in between, which is really nice. The key is though, is you have to keep working it so that it eventually blends. All right, X stroke, this one's my absolute favorite. It's really good for if you want to mix a color and you want it to be not flat, but you want it to have a little bit of a painterly texture. So what you're gonna do is take one color, so I'll take this green, it's beautiful, and you're gonna make X's. So you're literally drawing X's with your paintbrush. Doesn't matter the size paintbrush you use, it just matters that you're making X's. And then before it dries, this is the biggest part, you are going to take another color and make X's on top. And what will happen is you're gonna actually blend the colors and you're gonna get this really cool texture that looks like a little bit of these X's on top of one another, okay? Scumbling. Scumbling is actually a blend of these 2 painting techniques, flat wash and dry brush. So for scumbling, the first thing you're going to do is take your brush, you are going to just paint it flat, and then we have to actually let this dry, okay? Because eventually we're gonna do dry brush with the color on top, but if we don't let it dry, it's gonna mix in. So I'm gonna take my time and let this dry, and I'm gonna come back to that in a second. Stippling, we've already done this when we did our value lesson, so it's just gonna be a little bit different because we're using paint. You can use the bristle side of your brush to kind of make dots. They could be kind of circles, they could be more oblong like so, and they can also be with this part of your brush. to kind of make dots. There's a whole art movement which is called pointillism, which uses stippling to create lots of dots that will create images, and it's totally up to you if you want to use this. It does add a nice texture. Glazing is not for ceramics for this, but it is the same name. So for glazing, what you would do is you would take actual color, add it to one of your wells, and add water. What that does is it waters it down so it's a more transparent or translucent color. The thing that you want to pay attention to is you want to mix it until it's kind of even, and then when you paint it on, you get more of a watercolor effect, but it comes out looking beautiful. And then drip is going to be what it sounds like. It's where you get your paint and you actually wet it just a little bit to make it a little bit more viscous. And then when you hold up your paper, you can drip your color when you add water to it. So you need gravity to help you with this. If you don't have gravity, it's not going to work. And you sometimes have to load it up with a lot of paint to kind of make that paint splodge go down. Okay, so that's our dripping effect. You don't have to use all of these, but you do have to at least use 3 when we do our final painting. And then the last one is back to scumbling. So this is dry already, which is good. So I'm going to do dry brush on top with a different color. So I'm taking paint, I'm drying it off, and then I'm going to go right back on top. This is really good for some more texture, and you can actually see the color underneath it better, and just gives it a little bit of a different effect than dry brush. The thing I will say is there's thousands of other painting techniques for acrylic paint out there as well. So these are just probably some of the most common that I showed you, but if you find any others online, those would be good too. All right, thank you.